Hello friends, I am Ambika. Welcome to SA Educational Hub, a platform to share knowledge, service providers Shitun and Ambika. In this Python tutorial, we'll learn the basics of lists in Python, an introduction. What is a list in Python? How to create a list in Python? Examples, an empty list. Then we'll discuss the indexing. How to access individual items in a list. Index with example. Negative index with example. Indexing error with example. Type error with example. Then we'll discuss the lists are mutable. That is changing values in a list with example. Then we'll discuss nested list with example. What is a list in Python? A list is a value that contains multiple values in an ordered sequence. An ordered sequence means a set of values where each value is identified by an integer index. A list begins with an opening square bracket and ends with a closing square bracket. Just as string values are typed with code characters to mark where the string begins and ends. A list begins with an opening square bracket and ends with a closing square bracket. Cat, dog, horse, cow is an example of a list value. Values inside the list are also called items or elements. In a list, items are separated with commas. Lists are one of the built-in data types in Python. The other built-in data types in Python are tuple, set, and dictionary. The list is a value that can be stored in a variable or passed to a function like any other value. The term list value refers to list itself, not the values inside the list value. Lists can contain any set of objects such as strings, numbers, and even other lists. To get a better understanding of the list, let's examine some examples of lists in Python. Example. In this example, a list containing string type values cat, dog, horse, cow is assigned to the variable a. The variable a is assigned only one value, the list value, but the list value itself contains other values. The list is a value that can be stored in a variable or passed to a function like any other value. The following print statement print A will display the list cat, dog, horse, cow. Lists can contain any set of objects such as strings, numbers, and even other lists. In the following statement, a list containing integer type values 1, 2, 3, 4 is assigned to the variable b. The print statement print b will display the list 1, 2, 3, 4. In the next statement, a list containing different data types 3.14 a float type, true a boolean type, Python a string type, 27 an integer type, and none a non-data type is assigned to the variable c. The following print statement print c will display the list 3.14 true, Python 27 none. This example shows that a list may contain values of the same data type or different data types. We can get the data type of an object by using the built-in function type in Python. The last three statements of the example will display the data type of the variable a, b, and c respectively. Here the data type are list. The list data type is represented by the list class in Python. A list is a value that contains multiple values in an ordered sequence. Lists can contain any set of objects such as strings, numbers, and even other lists. List begins with an opening square bracket and ends with a closing square bracket. In a list, items are separated with commas. Values inside the list are also called items or elements. The list is a value that can be stored in a variable or passed to a function like any other value. An empty list. We can even have a list with no items in it, called an empty list, similar to an empty string. Example. In this example, an empty list is assigned to the variable a. The first print statement, print a, will display an empty list. The next print statement, print type a, will display the data type of the variable a, which is a list. Indexing. Accessing individual values in a list. What is an index? Each item in the list can be individually accessed using its index. An index is an integer. An index of a list starts from 0. The first item in the list is at index 0. The second item is at index 1. The third item is at index 2, and so on. Because the first index starts from 0, the last index is 1 less than the length of the list. For instance, in a list of 4 items, the last index is 3. We can access an item in the list by specifying its index within square brackets. To get a better understanding of the indexing, let's examine some examples of indexing in a list in Python. Example. In this example, a list containing 4 items, cat, dog, horse, cow, is assigned to the variable a. We can access an item in the list by specifying its index within square brackets. Because the index begins at 0, the Python code a sub 0 would evaluate to cat, and a sub 1 would evaluate to dog, and so on. The first print statement a sub 0 will display the first item in the list, that is cat. The integer inside the square brackets that follows the list is called an index. Here the indexes are 0, 1, 2, and 3. Similarly, print a sub 1 will display the second item in the list, that is dog. The print statement print a sub 2 will display the third item in the list, that is horse. The print statement print a sub 3 will display the last value in the list, that is cow. So, we can access an individual item in the list by specifying its index within square brackets with the list name. An index is an integer. An index of a list starts from 0. Therefore, in the list of n items, the last item has index of n minus 1. Negative indexes. We can also use negative integers for the index. The integer value minus 1 refers to the last index in a list. The value minus 2 refers to the second to last index in a list, and so on. Example. In this example, a list of 4 items is assigned to the variable a. Because we have used a negative index, the Python code a sub minus 1 would evaluate to cow, a sub minus 2 would evaluate to horse, and so on. In this case, we start counting from the right, that is from the last position to the first position of the list. The integer value minus 1 refers to the last index in a list. The integer value minus 2 refers to the second to last index in a list, and so on. Since minus 0 is the same as 0, negative indexes start from minus 1. In our example, the first print statement print a sub minus 1 will return the last value in the list, that is cow. Similarly, the print statement print a sub minus 3 will return the value dog, which is the third item from the end. Indexing error. Python will return an index error message if you use an index that exceeds the index value in your list. Example. In this example, a list of 4 items is assigned to the variable a. Here valid indexes are 0, 1, 2 and 3. Because the first index starts from 0, the last index is 1 less than the length of the list. Here the last index is 3. But we have used 4 as an index which exceeds the value in the list. So Python will return an index error message that list index out of range. Similarly, if we use negative index -5, Python will return an index error message that list index out of range, because here valid negative indexes are -1, -2, -3 and -4. Python will return an index error message if you use an index that exceeds the index value in your list. Type error. Indexes can be only integer values. Floats, data types will cause a type error. Example. This example will cause a type error. Indices can be only integer values, not float, string or non-data types. But here we have used a float value. So Python will return an type error message that list indices must be integers or slices, not float. Python will not return any error message if we use Boolean values true or false, because the numeric value of true is 1 and false is 0. So by using Boolean values, we can access the first and second items in the list. Lists are mutable, changing values in a list with indexes. Lists are mutable. That means that the value of an item in a list can be modified with an assignment statement. We can use an index of a list to change the value at that index. When you modify an item in a list, Python will not generate a new list. That means it modifies the list value directly by overwriting its former value. A list is a sequence type like strings and tuples, but a list differs from them in the way that lists are mutable, but strings and tuples are immutable. Immutable means you cannot modify strings and tuples after they have been created. Example. In this example, a list of 4 items is assigned to the variable a. The following print statement, print a, will display the list cat, dog, horse, cow. In the next statement, we modified the list by assigning the value rat at index position 1. Similarly, in the next statement, we modified the list by assigning the value deer at index position 2. The following print statement, print a, will display the modified list cat, rat, deer, cow. The first and second elements of the list are modified. Previously they were dog and horse. Now the new values are rat and deer. Lists are mutable. That means the value of an item in a list can be modified with an assignment statement. We can use an index of a list to change the value at that index. Remember that an attempt to assign a value to a non-existent index will result in an error. For instance, if you assign a value at index position 4, Python will generate an error because your valid indexes are 0, 1, 2 and 3. So we can use an index of a list to change the value at that index, but you cannot create a new element in this way. Nested lists. List can also contain other list values known as multi-dimensional lists or nested lists. The value in these lists of lists can be accessed using multiple indexes. Example. In this example, a nested list is assigned to the variable a. The first print statement, print a, will display the whole list. We can get the length of a list by using the built-in function len in Python. The next print statement, print len a, will display the length of the list. So although we see 6 items in the list, nested has only 2 items. Although a list can contain another list, the nested list still counts as a single element. The length of the list is 2. The statement print A0 will display the first item in the list, which is also a list of 2 items, cat and dog. The statement print A1 will display the second item in the list, which is also a list of 4 items, 1, 2, 3, 4. The print A01 will display the item dog. By supplying 2 indices with A01, we are telling the computer to go get the element at position 0, which is the first item in the list. The first item itself a list of 2 items, cat and dog. And then from that means from the cat and dog, to get the element at position 1, which is a dog. So the output will be dog. Similarly, the print A11 will return the value 2. In this case, the computer will go to the element at position 1, which is a list of 4 items, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then from that, it will access the element at position 1. So the output will be 2. In case of 2 indices, the computer will first go to the position specified at index 1 and extract the value. We get the intermediate result. Then from that intermediate result, the computer will return the value specified at index 2. List can also contain other list values known as multi-dimensional lists or nested lists. The value in these lists can be accessed using multiple indexes. We can use this kind of multiple indexing with nested sequences to get directly to a nested element. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Previous video was built-in functions for string in Python. Next video is list operations. Contact us ombigarai27@gmail.com. Please feel free to contact us if you have any questions or suggestions. Thank you.